Thank you so very much for being back. And if you just joined us, this is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head straight to our conversation for today. The Chief Executive Officer of Nigeria's two key petroleum regulatory bodies, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, Engineer Farouk Ahmed, and the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, Mr. Gbenga Komolafe, have resigned from their positions. Their exit come as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu nominates a new leadership to steer the agency in line with his administration's reform agenda for the oil and gas sector. Engineer Farouk Ahmed, who headed the NMDPRA, has faced a mounting scrutiny in recent months, making his resignation a significant development in the ongoing restructuring of the industry. Similarly, the departure of Gbenga Komolafe from the NUPRC marks the end of a tenure that oversaw critical regulatory framework in Nigeria's upstream petroleum operations. One of the nominated successor, Engineer Mohammed, brings extensive experience from across the energy value chain. He previously served as Managing Director of Kaduna Refining and Petrochemical Company and the Nigerian Gas Company. His leadership portfolio also includes chairing the boards of the West African Gas Pipeline Company, Nigeria LNG subsidiaries, and NNPC Retail. Additionally, Engineer Mohammed served as Group Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer of the Gas and Power Directorate, where he provided strategic direction for landmark initiatives such as the Gas Master Plan, Gas Network Code, and key contributions to the Petroleum Industry Act. Let's get talking, ladies and gentlemen. We still have Emeka Madunago. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for hanging on.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Emeka, let's get talking on this. I do not know where to start from at this point. Replacement. Of course, the president, who is the substantive minister of petroleum resources, has the right to do all of the changes at this point. But do you think the changes were necessitated as a result of a deficiency of leadership at the NMDPRA, or is it because of the controversy as raised by Aliko Dangote, considering the money the Farouk man had spent on his children and many other controversies there? So which exactly plays the card? Is it that he needed a change, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that is in the oil sector, or is it as a result of the controversy that Mr. Farouk has?
Yeah, both Farouk and thank you very much. Both Farouk and Komolafe, had been mired in one controversy or the other. If you recall that 5 months ago, an FCT High Court struck out a lawsuit brought against Mr. Gbenga Komolafe of NUPRC until yesterday, where a non-governmental organization, sought to compel the Attorney General of the Federation to prosecute Komolafe within 30 days. Of course, the name of the organization of the NGO is Registered Trustees of Trust Field Empowerment Initiatives. They leveled some allegations against Komolafe. They even sued him and the AGF, but the council, the defense council challenged the jurisdiction of the FCT High Court to hear and determine the subject matter based on Section 251, 1A and N of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Of course, the defendants argued that the Constitution specifically conferred jurisdiction on the Federal High Court to the exclusion of any other court in civil causes or matters relating to the revenue of the government or the Federation, And then also, he stated that the Federal High Court reserves exclusive authority on civil causes or matters which pertain to mines and minerals, including oil fields, oil mining, geological surveys, and natural gas. That was just all. The court relied on to throw the matter out. And, even the defendants asked for 100 million naira in damages. For filing that the NGO filed a frivolous and vexatious suit to harass, intimidate, and ridicule the NUPRC boss. Now, the judge now awarded 3 million just on a technical matter instead of striking it out. Now you can see that matter is still hanging. That matter is still hanging. Then that of NMDPRA, of course, because the person who petitioned, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, is a powerful Nigerian, is a wealthy Nigerian, ready to fight anybody. Ready to fight anybody. And so he not only tabled the allegation, he submitted a petition to the ICPC to say, investigate this man. This man paid 7.3 billion naira as school fees for his 4 children in Switzerland, children in secondary school. When you hear some sums, do you know what 7.3 billion naira will do to our educational sector? Go and check the educational budgets of states, of state governments for 2026. And so, of course, Dangote, and Farouk had actually had some issues in the past, in the recent past, where Farouk accused, alleged that Dangote refinery was producing petroleum products with high sulfur content. Of course, that Dangote really fought so hard. And then along the line, the GMD of NNPC at that time, Mele Kyari, well, he was kicked out. He had to leave. And then some top brass of NNPCL were arrested and are still being investigated. So one thing is certain. President Bola Tinubu has rightly acknowledged by his action that, there's a lot that the government is faced with serious challenges from the tenures of both men, and that government had reason to act in the public interest to prevent a further erosion of public trust. And so that's why I think both men were removed. Because the allegations by that NGO were not taken. They were not treated by the court. And the court went on, that shows you that the judiciary, we are worried about actions of the judiciary, judgments that tend to favor powerful people, well-placed people, tend to favor government against public interest. But thankfully, President Tinubu has acted and said, listen, maybe you have to go, so that we, at least let us restore public confidence in these institutions. Even though the government has not stated why it took that action. But of course, you can read between the lines that, our government had to restore public confidence in both institutions. But, and therefore, it had to take that action. Thank you.
We do not know who he is. Of course, it's stated that he has caught his feet in the oil sector. But the question is, this selection of people to head these sensitive, respective institutions and organizations, is there a parameter actually to select these persons, or is it at the discretion of the president to just do whatever he feels like doing? Because we should be looking at the best hands to ensure that these things are done. But with the kind of politics we play in Nigeria, does it look like it's ever possible to have meritocracy at the center of leadership in this country, with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the head of the throne?
Yeah, well, it is possible. If you look at the CVs of people who have headed regulatory agencies in Nigeria, in the petroleum industry, to put it in context, and also headed NNPCL, you'll find out that they've had distinguished careers in the private sector. Sadly, some of them fell short of public expectations in public office. Some of them didn't carry along the ethics and the high standard demanded of them in the private sector to public service. And that is where they derailed. Because, in the private sector, there are certain things excuse me, there are certain things, excuse me, there are certain things you cannot do. You earn such humongous, such huge amount. I was reading somewhere today that the CEO of one indigenous oil company earns 3 billion naira every year. And that a graduate trainee earns about 700,000 per month, you know, so that the management, board, and employees go home with very hefty salaries, you know, when compared to the Nigerian condition. So, but you cannot take such lavish, ostentatious remunerations to the public service. That's where the difference comes in. That's where the difference comes in. So sometimes some people get into public office, they think they can still carry on with the kind of lavish lifestyle they had in the private sector. The private sector can, one way or the other, you know, fund such lifestyles. But you cannot put that in public service. That is one. Secondly, the public sector demands, you know, has rigorous, strict rules. As a CEO of an oil company, you can accept gifts. You know, somebody can give you a gift, and you know, so there are certain things you can look away from, even though there are strict rules for which you can be punished if an infraction is detected. But in the public sector, the answer is no. Of course, you know, some time ago, a court said that a former GMD of NNPC, that the money seized from him should be returned to him because they were gifts. A public servant receiving millions of dollars as gifts, then why would the world, why would the international community take us seriously? So that's how rigorous public service is. The civil service, the public sector, that's how rigorous it is. That is why it's strange when you see directors in the civil service, permanent secretaries, living above their means. Because the question is, and the same question was asked of Farouk, what is your salary? Your salary in a year, I think, according to him, is 48 million, 4 million naira a month. How were you able to afford 7.3 billion naira to pay your children's school fees in Switzerland? 4 children in secondary school, not even in university, secondary school, for crying out aloud. But even though, you know, the public statement that was made available publicly, you know, in reaction to Dangote's allegations, even though Farouk denied it, but it revealed a lot. It revealed a lot. It opened a window into how, you know, and we should be helpful to anti-graft agencies in investigating this matter. So it should not be that because they've been relieved of their duties, then the matter drops. Both men should be investigated by the anti-graft agencies. The other day, EFCC was saying that they are not after President Bola Tinubu's opponents. This is a clear case. They should deal with it to show that Nigerians should continue to trust EFCC. Because, I mean, what are we talking about? Dangote said clearly, NMPC, that that Porako refinery owned, you know, I mean by NMPCL, was sabotaged while they were claiming to be fixing it. And that's why you see none of the state refineries is running. So now President Tinubu, I don't know what led him into giving licenses to people to continue importing petroleum products. Whereas we have the capacity locally to continue, you know, to produce these things. But the idea,
sorry to interject here. Sometimes back you said that it's not possible to have a Dangote do domestic supply of PMS without having export come in to balance the equation. That it makes sense that there should be, you know, the opportunity for people to import so as we wouldn't face a scarcity. Don't you think it makes sense to allow for, uniformity of whoever it is that wants to play in the system to do whatever that they want to do, then let price determine what Nigerians would go for, than just outrightly saying that no one should export.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that interjection. Yes, I said so. But you know what? The rules say that it is those who are participating in the downstream sector that should have that right. For you to import in any industry in Nigeria, you must have productive capacity. Then if it falls short, you can import. For instance, Dangote has been getting crude. He has got crude from Ghana. He has got crude from different places, I think from Gabon, from different places. He has got crude because because he cannot get adequate crude supply under the Naira for crude scheme. He has not been able to get adequate supply locally. So what Dangote himself has said is that to allow for anybody to be given a license to import, that person should own a refinery that is operating. You cannot just go and collect a refinery license, keep it in your pocket. You don't set up a refinery. You don't refine even 1 liter of petroleum products, and then you now claim that you want to go and start importing. You don't do that. You cannot compare oranges with apples. So what I'm saying is that I support Dangote's position that for people to be able to import, there must be certain parameters, one of which you should own a refinery that is functioning, and then you must be able to convince the NMDPRA that there is a shortfall in your expected supplies to your customers, your clients, so that you may need to import to cover up. But like it's generally known, a lot of these imports are just blended, blended different blending plants across the world. So how do you now bring in
Emeka, I remember some months back, Dangote accused a little refining plant somewhere in Lagos owned by Peter Mba of blending what the company, that's Dangote, already is doing, and felt that that little plant was taking a chunk of the share of his market and was going against it. So don't you think Dangote is being smart here by half, by trying to go against competitors so he could dominate the sector?
No, it's not competitive. No. Own a refinery, not a blending plant.
So what's the difference here?
You cannot, there's a big difference. A refinery is a fully structured business. Fully structured business. A blending plant, yes, is a business, but come on. You don't have the same capacity, stored capacity. You don't have the same requirements, regulatory requirements, licensing requirements as a refinery. And let me tell you, a blending plant can actually operate illegally. So the fact of the matter is, let's do away with these blending plants. Whether it's in Lagos, whether it's in Malta, whether it's in Russia, wherever it is, or even if it is in Togo, because like we hear now, that some influential Nigerians actually have an FPSO tank in Togo, in the port of Lomé, from where they now bring petroleum products into Nigeria. That they've stored it. They have forgotten the quantity of petroleum products that they are said to have there. That is from there they bring these things. But they will now claim, allegedly, that these things come from other places. So we need to stop the importation of petroleum products. Because when Tinubu came in 2023, we heard all kinds of stories that filling stations in neighboring countries has closed down, that oil theft had closed down, that Okada riders in some neighboring countries had run out of business of smuggling petroleum products. We heard all kinds of things that no, we're not consuming 52 or between 52 and 55 million liters of PMS every day. That no, it's 25 million liters. No, it's 39 million liters. No, it's 32 million liters. All kinds of stories. I attended an event where a governor, in his speech, read this kind of thing, was said, and all these things were just market gossip. Just gossip from the market, not founded in facts. How come we have now gone back to the same 52 million liters a day? When the government rolled out a presidential initiative on compressed natural gas, when we are talking of electric vehicles, and electric vehicles are used in a number of places. Unilag, if you go to Unilag, there are electric buses are being used for transportation. So look on the road, you will see electric vehicles. So why are we now, still talking of the same 52 million liters? The same government that said that power supply has improved. And when we know that much of this consumption actually comes from the use of generators. But you've heard people say, oh, our power supply is regular and we're not using generators anymore. So where is that? How come we're still consuming 52 million liters daily? Where is it going to? So that is the reason why we need to stop importation totally. We should scrap it, just like cement. Do you hear people importing cement? For producers of cement, I think they have, they also have a leeway to import if it's necessary. But they are producing here because what they need, clinker, is here. All they need for production is here. So they're producing here. Why shouldn't we now extend those regulatory requirements to the downstream sector of the oil and gas industry so that we just totally, at least, put an end to the hemorrhaging of our foreign reserves? Because the importation, this heavy importation of petroleum products has, keeps impacting on our foreign reserves. Forget all you see, that we made $41 billion. The question I ask them is this: please show us your expected expenditure. Where these foreign reserves will go to. It's not that foreign reserves came in. Towards the end of the year, you have improved diaspora remittances now because people are sending money home to their loved ones for Christmas and all of that. People may be sending money home for projects, for a lot of welfare programs, And then there is a lot of importation of rice and various items, oil and all those things, vegetable oil and all those things, So you will expect that towards the end of the year, there's a lot of money will come in. Even the customs service has moved to deal with banks. It has taken up banks that have been delaying the remittance of revenue due to it. Yes. So you expect that towards the end of the year, money will come in. But the point is this: importation of petroleum products takes a lot of our foreign reserves. Then another thing is school fees. School fees by the elite. School fees for the children of the elite. You can imagine 7.3 billion naira. How much is impacting on our foreign reserves? So let us deal with all these things. Let us stop all these points where we keep losing our foreign reserves. That will help us as a nation. But if we insist that it should continue to be business as usual, it will not help us. It's not helping us, and it will continue to hurt us because that's not what we need. We don't need that. So with due respect to both men, yes, they have been removed, but I think that the anti-graft agency should investigate them. Should investigate allegations against them. Don't sweep them under the carpet. If not, the same suspicion, specter of suspicion, will also hang on their successors and heads of other vital government agencies. And it should not be. People should not be in public office with a specter of mistrust hanging over them. So it is because we refuse to insist that everybody must play by the rules. That is why it looks so it looks like it's so difficult for us to have honest people in public office. But I want to say that yes, I know there are honest people in public office. There are honest people in the civil service. Yes. But just imagine, when you have all these kinds of allegations, and up till now, the NMDPRA former immediate MD, Farouk, has not said anything. The statement that was issued, that was said to have issued by him, he has denied it. But yet he has not explained the issue. He said, oh, that since the matter has been sent to anti-graft agencies. What does that mean? That doesn't to defend yourself.
All right.
We don't value.
Are you still there, Emeka?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I said thank you very much.
All right, thank you so very much, Emeka. That was awesomely done. You actually opened the canker worm of information there, and equally had the opportunity of perusing every single one of them. I truly do hope that those at the corridors of power, like I often say, would heed to some of these things, if they are intentional really about ensuring that this comes to a logical end. Nigeria is so much blessed with lots of resources, but some of these resources do not spell back to Nigerians who truly do need it. Poverty is still on the increase. Nigerians have been deprived of so many medical practitioners still on strike. Lots of things going on in the country which our resources would have been used to solve some of them. But those in power and those at the corridor of power do not see this as a necessity. And little wonder you see Nigeria in such a haphazard shape. But we truly do hope that things will get better. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for the time and the opportunity of speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that's just about the time we have. People who love to say thank you for making this a day. Please do well to follow us. You can find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Gwebike. Have yourself a splendid day. God bless you. God bless Nigeria. I'll see you on another episode. Bye-bye from me.